I think a big part of being a nonfiction teacher, and nonfiction reading specifically, is that at the beginning of the year, the students come in and there's a lot of books and topics that they're completely unfamiliar with. And in the beginning, nonfiction is this topic that they really don't swarm to immediately. It's not their favorite genre, it's not their favorite type of book. But as we kind of talk about the importance of nonfiction and the job of nonfiction to allow you to independently research and learn about topics that you've never seen before, it becomes a really exciting genre for them. And as they continue throughout the year, they learn that any interest that they may have can be accessed and expanded by reading a nonfiction text. So while it's not the most exciting text for them at the beginning of the year, it becomes something that they're very passionate about as the year goes on because they learn of its value.
Hi, my name is Janine Whitman, and I teach reading intervention for 6th grade here at Kipp Infinity. One way that I get my kids to love reading is that I actually read books with them. So I will pick some of the most popular books in my library, for example, Middle School Get Me Out of Here, and I'll read it and then I'll recommend it to a kid who I think would like it, or a kid who I think hasn't read something like it yet but might be invested because I know about it and we can talk about it. Also, kids just kind of digging into their past and the problems that they're having at school. I think really knowing your own classroom library and knowing if someone's dealing with bullying, blubber, specific books that kind of relate to things in their life that they might not pick up if someone doesn't tell them that this might be a book that they love. So that's one way that I get kids to love reading, picking out books that I think they'll specifically love and making sure that I read all the new books that come out and know what to recommend.
Hi, I'm Lindley Ron. I'm the 8th grade learning specialist at Kipp Infinity Charter School. One of the ways I help my students love reading is by modeling my love of reading each and every day they walk into the classroom. I truly believe that if a teacher teaches with passion, it will slowly catch on with all the students in the classroom. The other thing I believe is really important is that our classroom environments support our students' needs. So as a learning specialist, I have a lot of tools around my classroom that help my students learn, especially when we're reading grade level texts. The students can access these tools and use them to help support their reading and learning. For example, I have signposts posted in my room, as well as nonfiction coordinates. Both of these help the students navigate difficult, and sometimes not difficult, nonfiction and fiction texts. I think it's also important that students have some tools within their classworks to help them learn. So sometimes I embed guiding questions into grade level texts, which can be challenging, but the guiding questions really support the individual needs of the students and help them break down really difficult texts so that they are able to answer the questions and truly comprehend the text as is. I also do provide scaffolded text at times, but I believe it's important to mix high and low level texts. With the scaffold, students feel successful, and that helps to build their love of reading.
Every day I have Miss Salon for 3 hours a day. The first time is 90 minutes, which is literature, and 60 minutes is for Read 180, and 30 minutes is intervention time. Miss Salon helps me enjoy reading by helping me choose out a book that is new to me and that I'm unfamiliar with, so that when I use Post-its and stuff, it helps me basically learn steps on how to memorize what's going on in the book, so when I go on Accelerated Reader, I can pass all my AR quizzes.
Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Vea and I teach 7th grade American History here at Kipp Infinity Middle School. And one of the essential strategies for being a competent nonfiction reader is how to determine what's important in a text. And the way that I teach that is through this analogy of making pasta. So when you make pasta, there are 3 essential steps. Adding pasta to boiling water, draining the pasta, and finally, of course, my favorite, and I think all of yours too, is actually eating the pasta. But what would actually happen if you didn't drain the pasta? It wouldn't taste so good, right, if you ate the pasta with the water. So making pasta is actually like determining what's important, because the author of a text has what are called pasta words and phrases. And there's also water words and phrases. And what you have to do as a competent reader of nonfiction is to drain the water and just ingest the most important pieces of information from the text, the pasta words and phrases.
So, as a speech-language pathologist, I work with students who have language-based learning disabilities, which impede their ability to comprehend text a lot of the times. And so I find a lot of the times that students don't like to read books that are not in their natural schema, and I think it's like that across the whole population. So for example, I don't like reading about engineering or science, for example, because that's not in my comfort zone. I'm not familiar with a lot of the vocabulary words. I don't have the schema and the background knowledge to really read those texts. And so a lot of the students that we work with, I find, want to stick with, for example, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, because that's what they know. And those are concepts, it's in the present time. They don't have to have other background schema knowledge. It's something that they're comfortable with. And so introducing a concept or a book that they might not be familiar with, and then going through and introducing background schema with them is something that will sort of stretch them beyond their comfort levels, and they become really, really interested in it. So this is the Think Aloud button, and this is, so research says that we need to teach Think Aloud explicitly, and so I use these reading comprehension strategies. So every time, let's say, the student they use a strategy, then they press this button in the middle of reading, and then they might say something like, I just visualized the boy on a brown horse, and he is feeling nervous, and he's holding onto the reins really, really tightly because he's afraid to fall off. So in the middle of reading, they might use one of these strategies, and then they press this button to show what they're thinking aloud, what their brain sort of goes on. This is what my brain is thinking, and then they explicitly state it to the group.
So my name is Anna Kaloic, and I teach the intervention class for 5th grade at Kipp Infinity. So what I do is I actually teach the 5th grade curriculum, but I teach it a little bit differently so that we can access the challenging 5th grade curriculum, but we can do it in a way that works for my students, which some of my students are reading on a 1st grade level. Many are now up to about a 4th grade level, but as you can see that many, they're all below 5th grade. So there's a few things I do that help them with the challenging text. So we use a lot of whiteboard time. Whiteboard marker and this little piece of felt go a long way. So I ask them questions a lot. I gauge their understanding. I check for understanding constantly with these 3 pieces. Act as a wonderful tool for me. I also allow them to ask questions of me, like mid-class, if there's something that's burning, like a burning question, they can write it down and hold it up as a way to communicate with me, and I can decide whether or not I want to interrupt myself or not at that point. Another tool I use are the 2 cups. So sometimes I might say, pull out your cups. Any point, we're going to read together today, and at any point you get confused, you can flip to red, because that shows me that you're confused about something you're reading. So you want to show kids that being confused about what you're reading is totally okay, but you have to monitor your understanding, and when you do get confused, you have to stop and fix your comprehension, or just have a really curious question that might stop you for a sec, but then you continue reading to figure out why. So sometimes I'll use just, pull out the red when you're confused, or I might use when you have something you want to share, put the green on top. So these cups, which you can buy at Party Central, I think, offer as a great tool. Another way that kids can share when they're understanding and when they're not. So you can read tough text, but these tools help you access it. Give me a beat!
You gotta read, baby, read. You gotta read, baby, read. The more you read, the more you know. Knowledge is all around.